if it is given at all to the West to struggle out of these tangles of lower slopes to the spiritual summit of humanity, then I cannot but think that it is the special mission of America to fulfill this hope of God and man. You are the country of expectation, desiring something else than what is. Europe has her subtle habits of mind and her conventions, but America, as yet, has come to no conclusions. I realize how much America is untrammeled by the traditions of the past, and I can appreciate that experimentalism is a sign of America's youth. The foundation of her glory is in the future rather than in the past. And if one is gifted with the power of clairvoyance, one will be able to love the America that is to be. America is destined to justify Western civilization to the East. Europe has lost faith in humanity and has become distrustful and sickly. America, on the other hand, is not pessimistic or blasé. You know as a people that there is such a thing as a better and a best, and that knowledge drives you on. There are habits that are not merely passive but aggressively arrogant. They are not like mere walls, but are like hedges of stinging nettles. Europe has been cultivating these hedges of habits for long years, till they have grown round her, dense and strong and high. The pride of her traditions has sent its roots deep into her heart. I do not wish to contend that it is unreasonable, but pride in every form breeds blindness at the end. Like all artificial stimulants, its first effect is a heightening of consciousness, and then with the increasing dose, it muddles it and brings an exaltation that is misleading. Europe has gradually grown hardened in her pride in all her outer and inner habits. She not only cannot forget that she is Western, but she takes every opportunity to hold this fact against others to humiliate them. This is why she is growing incapable of imparting to the East what is best in herself and of accepting in a right spirit the wisdom that the East has taught for centuries. In America, national habits and traditions have not had time to spread their clutching roots round your hearts. You have constantly felt and complained of your disadvantages when you compared your nomadic restlessness with the settled traditions of Europe. The Europe which can show her picture of greatness to the best advantage because she can fix it against the background of the past. But in this present age of transition, when a new era of civilization is sending its trumpet call to all the peoples of the world across an unlimited future, this very freedom of detachment will enable you to accept its invitation and to achieve the goal for which Europe began her journey but lost herself midway. For she was tempted out of her path by her pride of power and greed of possession. Not merely your freedom from habits of mind in individuals, but also the freedom of your history from all uncleaned entanglements fits you in your career of holding the banner of civilization of the future. All the great nations of Europe have their victims in other parts of the world. This not only deadens their moral sympathy, but also their intellectual sympathy, which is so necessary for the understanding of races which are different from one's own. Englishmen can never truly understand India because their minds are not disinterested with regard to the country. If you compare England with Germany or France, you will find she has produced the smallest number of scholars who have studied Indian literature or philosophy with any amount of sympathetic insight or thoroughness. This attitude of apathy and contempt is natural, where the relationship is abnormal and founded upon national selfishness and pride. But your history has been disinterested, and that is why you have been able to help Japan in her lessons in Western civilization, and that is why China can look upon you with her best confidence in this, her darkest period of danger. In fact, you are carrying all the responsibility of a great future because you are untrammeled by the grasping miserliness of a past. Therefore, of all countries of the earth, America has to be fully conscious of this future. Her vision must not be obscured, and her faith in humanity must be strong with the strength of youth. A parallelism exists between America and India, the parallelism of welding together into one body various races. In my country, we have been seeking to find out something common to all races which will prove the real unity. No nation looking for a mere political or commercial basis of unity will find such a solution sufficient. Men of thought and power will discover the spiritual unity, will realize it and preach it. India has never had a real sense of nationalism. Even though from childhood I had been taught that idolatry of the nation is almost better than reverence of God and humanity, I believe I have outgrown that teaching, and it is my conviction that my countrymen will truly gain their India by fighting against the education which teaches them that a country is greater than the ideals of humanity. The educated Indian at present is trying to absorb some lessons from history contrary to the lessons of our ancestors. The East, in fact, is attempting to take unto itself a history which is not the outcome of its own living. Japan, for example, thinks she is getting powerful through adopting Western methods, but after all, she has exhausted her inheritance. Only the borrowed weapons of civilization will remain to her. She will not have developed herself from within. Europe has her past. Europe's strength, therefore, lies in her history. We in India must make up our minds that we cannot borrow other people's history, and that if we stifle our own, we are committing suicide. When you borrow things that do not belong to your life, they only serve to crush your life, and therefore I believe that it does India no good to compete with Western civilization in its own field, but we shall be more than compensated if, in spite of the insults heaped upon us, we follow our own destiny. These are lessons which impart information or train our minds for intellectual pursuits. These are simple and can be acquired and used with advantage. But there are others which affect our deeper nature and change our direction of life. Before we accept them and pay their value by selling our own inheritance, we must pause and think deeply. In man's history, there come ages of fireworks which dazzle us by their force and movement. They laugh not only at our modest household lamps, but also at the eternal stars. But let us not, for that provocation, be precipitate in our desire to dismiss our lamps. Let us patiently bear our present insult and realize that these fireworks have splendor but not permanence because of the extreme explosiveness which is the cause of their power and also of their exhaustion. They are spending a fatal quantity of energy and substance compared to their gain and production. Anyhow, our ideals have been evolved through our own history, and even if we wished, we could only make poor fireworks of them because their materials are different from yours, as is also their moral purpose. If we cherish the desire of paying our all to buy a political nationality, it will be as absurd as if Switzerland had staked her existence on her ambition to build up a navy powerful enough to compete with that of England. The mistake that we make is in thinking that man's channel of greatness is only one, the one which has made itself painfully evident for the time being by its depth of insolence.